Tonight, the fiery confrontation between Victoria's firefighters and the mayor has been doused. That story and
all 5 doctors from St. Clare's internal medicine department have given notice of resignation.
We have been working on this issue for a number of months.
The current Minister of Health, Minister Howell, was aware, and yet no action.
A mass resignation of doctors at St. Clare's Hospital. CBC Investigates will have more on why those doctors are moving on.
So that'll be 10 positions that we're hoping to fill across our province.
The province is adding 400 educators to the K-12 system, including several speech-language pathologists.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. We begin with a potential major shakeup coming at a hospital in St. John's. A team of doctors at St. Clare's says they will walk away from their jobs because work has become unsafe for patients and doctors alike. Ryan Cook has the details.
All 5 doctors from St. Clare's internal medicine department have given notice of resignation. In a letter sent by their lawyer on Monday, they say they'll stop providing services as of October 1st due to conditions they believe are unsafe. CBC Investigates obtained a copy of their letter on Thursday, which states the current model of care has become problematic for both patient care and provider well-being. The latest blow was the loss of MUN's residency program, stripping away valuable resources for 24/7 coverage. But Health Minister Lynn Howell says not to worry, a plan is on the way.
There will be no gap in service delivery at St. Clare's Hospital. We have been working on this issue for a number of months, and we're confident that there is a plan in place that will assure these services continue.
The concerns at St. Clare's go back more than a year. The team previously threatened to resign on January 1st, 2024, citing below-average compensation, administrative burden, limited resources, and an overwhelming patient load. 3 of the 5 doctors who signed that letter no longer work at St. Clare's. Opposition health critic Barry Pettin says this should have been handled a long time ago.
So it's a case of that, the former Minister Osborne was aware, current Premier and former Minister of Health, Minister Hogan, or Premier Hogan, was aware. The current Minister of Health, Minister Howell, was aware, and yet no action.
Internists at St. Clare say they manage 100 admitted patients while handling 15 to 20 emergency room consults on a daily basis, a heavy workload for a small team. Over at the Health Sciences Centre, the internal medicine staff is warning the health authority not to dump that caseload on them. In a letter co-signed by internists at both St. John's hospitals, they say the health sciences is at full capacity and that an increase in patient volumes is unsafe for patients and psychologically unsafe for physicians. The health minister says she expects a solution within days.
While I may disagree with the tactics that were deployed to get us to this point today, I know that it's been a long-standing discussion, but nobody has thrown down and went home. So we do believe that we're in a place right now where a resolution is imminent, and we're confident that the plan will resolve this issue.
We've yet to hear from the doctors themselves as to whether the government's and health authorities' plan is satisfactory, but we know the clock is ticking. As of July 1st, they say they won't be providing any more overtime or weekends, potentially leaving a gap in patient care that everyone wants to avoid. Ryan Cook, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, the provincial government is taking steps to improve access to speech-language pathologists in the school system. We brought you several stories over the past few weeks related to a shortage of SLPs in the education and healthcare system. The CBC's Jenna Head has this update.
School might be out, but that doesn't mean school staffing is off the government's mind. By September, the province hopes to have added 400 new educator positions to the K-12 system, including 5 new speech-language pathologists. That marks the position's first allocation increase in 30 years.
We have 5 positions still on the board, which we're hoping to get filled as well. So that'll be 10 positions that we're hoping to fill across our province. There will be some in St. John's, of course. There will be some across the province. Maybe there will be some hybrid where they'll be doing some traveling as well.
CBC first reported on the shortage of SLPs in May, after speech-language pathologist Molly Clark said she works remotely for a school board across the country because Newfoundland and Labrador lacked public jobs in health and education. The province told us 45 SLPs have been serving over 200 schools, and according to the teachers' union, it's been that way for decades. NLTA President Trent Langdon says adding 5 more isn't enough, but it is a start.
We need to get all the positions filled first. Right now there's positions in Labrador and so on that aren't filled. I do believe that if we can get them all filled and the caseloads can get to a point where we can see where we truly stand. All I know is from our SLPs, their caseloads are through the roof, and because they're often spread out over large geographical areas, it makes it even harder.
Minister Davis says the 5 new SLP positions will be posted soon. The hope is to have them filled by September 3rd. Jenna Head, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, intimate partner violence numbers across the province continue to rise. That's according to data from the RCMP. As Here and Now's Henrika Wilhelm reports, one local advocacy group says it's proof that more needs to be done to protect survivors.
The number is staggering, 3,394. That's how many reports the RCMP in the province received of incidents involving intimate partner violence in 2023. About 9 a day.
It's one of our biggest priorities at this point.
That's a significant jump from a few years prior, more than doubling the 1,300 reported in 2019, an increase of 150% in just 5 years.
Our numbers are not decreasing. Rates of serious incidents are there. They're alarming. We know that at any given time, any one of these incidents could be fatal.
Partially behind the rise, says Garland, an expansion of what is included in intimate partner violence data, from mental health calls or property damage to verbal arguments.
It's not just to a point where somebody's threatened to harm you, where somebody's physically harmed you or committed a criminal act. Oftentimes it can take on other forms, control, coercion. It builds up.
Garland stresses that those are reports, not charges. That number also went up. In 2021, there were just under 900 incidents involving someone charged with at least one offense of intimate partner violence. That grew to more than 1,000 incidents in 2023. 70% of intimate partner violence incidents involve repeat offenders. 1/3 involves an individual with court-ordered conditions. For one local advocacy group, the numbers aren't surprising and provide proof that not enough is being done to protect survivors.
This is just the tip of the iceberg, unfortunately. Just throughout both mine and Angie's work, we know that those numbers are likely much higher due to a lack of reporting.
In April, Act Now renewed its calls for ankle bracelet monitors as a bail condition in the province for those accused of serious or repeat intimate partner violence crimes. Then Justice Minister, now Premier John Hogan, said last June it would be coming soon, but it's still not in place.
Our shelters are full. There has to be some kind of protection in the post-charge, pre-conviction stage. There has to be, or it's just going to continue to get worse.
They also want better training within law enforcement and the judicial system, risk assessments, panic buttons.
The RNC, the RCMP want to do their jobs properly, and these are giving them the better tools to be able to do that and to protect their community at the same time.
Act Now wants the province to declare intimate partner violence an epidemic, just as Nova Scotia has done and New Brunswick earlier this month.
I would describe it as a critical level at this point. We're at the levels now where judges are calling it an epidemic, politicians are calling it an epidemic, so it needs immediate action.
Garland says she sees the conversation shifting, fueled by more survivors speaking out.
If we start communicating about it, we start speaking out about it, and we change the conversation, it's not the victims of the crime who are in the wrong here or who need to be embarrassed. It's those that are causing, this sort of crime.
Henrika Wilhelm, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, the ink is nearly dry on a new Churchill Falls agreement in principle between the Innu Nation and Hydro-Quebec. The agreement would act as a guideline for future projects like Gull Island. The CBC's Ella Burke reports.
For one Innu Nation negotiator, the new reconciliation and collaboration agreement with Hydro-Quebec is a long-awaited moment. Peter Pinechouet says for him, it represents the final part of the 2011's New Dawn Agreement. That agreement awarded the Innu with compensation for Churchill Falls and paved the way for the Muskrat Falls development. But it didn't include Hydro-Quebec because at that time they were not at the table.
Now that we're all able to come to the table and resolve the issues, it's one of those moments in history where it's a watershed moment.
$87 million will be paid to Innu Nation community members in the form of annual payments to a reconciliation fund over 16 years. Also, for as long as Churchill Falls produces power, 3% of the dividends which Hydro-Quebec receives from the Churchill Falls Corporation will go to the Innu of Labrador.
Well, I think it's very important to put it in context. We were looking for a settlement for the past wrongs. The project proceeded in 1970s, and we did not have any consideration, no compensation, no revenue sharing, nothing.
This agreement comes after the Innu Nation sued Hydro-Quebec over ecological and cultural damages caused by the Churchill Falls project. The new agreement in practice is a step towards settling lawsuits outside of court. While visiting Labrador this week, the CEO of Hydro-Quebec says these agreements will benefit everyone.
So I guess the way we think about this is if you think about generating clean power as a way of promoting economic development and prosperity and growth and attracting new businesses, then it just seems to us intuitive that, well, but you have to do that in a way that does the same thing for First Nations or for Indigenous peoples.
The agreement will be finalized after community members of Sheshatshiu and Mushwa Innu First Nations vote on it this fall. Ella Burke, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, after a tense week in Victoria, the town council and local volunteer fire department appear to have made up. On Tuesday, the majority of firefighters resigned after the town accused the fire chief of breaking and entering into a heritage property. But he argued his department had a key and the right to enter the space. Municipal Affairs Minister Paul Pike visited Victoria today, and now both the mayor and the fire chief say the issues are resolved.
We're happy to say that after a lengthy conversation and a lot of information from Department of Municipal Affairs, Minister Pike and his crew, I guess, that we've come to an agreement that we're going to work together with Municipal Affairs to get these issues and concerns rectified, and we're happy to be back on the run. We're back, to full service. All of our 24 members are fully reinstated and ready to answer the call, same as we were prior to all this taking place. So we just like to remind residents that once again, everything is resolved. We thank them for all their support and concern over this matter. And rest assured, your Victoria Fire Department that you had prior to last week is back to normal. So it's a very proud day here for us. It's a lot of things off people's chests, a lot of clear minds, and we're going to get back to putting wet stuff on red stuff.
I appreciate where some of the concerns are coming from the fire department, that the reason why they did what they did. I'm glad that we have come to a resolve with this now, and we're moving forward. We will have some more consultations with Municipal Affairs to get some issues straightened out here.
Well, a much cooler day out there for most people, with the exception of the South Coast. You're finally seeing some nicer weather, about 18 degrees in Burgeo today. Even temperatures up across Labrador in the upper teens as well. That will generally continue, and we do have some more weather, warm weather on the way. But take a look at the temperatures today. From a 12-hour period, we saw those temperatures from 12 degrees down to 7 thanks to a northerly flow, and we'll continue to see that through the night tonight, and that means you're looking at the risk of frost in some cases, especially for those of you that are in low-lying areas. Tomorrow looks beautiful, but we do have the slight chance of showers in the mix as well. We may hear a few rumbles of thunder, and then we've got the better chance of rain by the time we get into Monday for most areas, but warming up. I'll get into all of those details with your full forecast coming up a little later.
As St. John's prepares for an influx of tourists, police are asking the public to not hesitate calling 911 if they see a crime happening. The Downtown Safety Coalition also says it's increasing the number of private security personnel on patrol.
We talk about reporting a lot, and it's a big part of our overall response. But the reality is what we've learned is there's events that happen and we get them reported, but they get reported well after they've occurred. It could be days, weeks, and at that time, we've missed an opportunity. Crimes in progress must be reported to 911. We want to respond immediately, and we want to take the appropriate approach at the time the offense is occurring. That is a call to arms to essentially say that community members, you can play a significant role in our efforts with the police service. Our frontline response is our priority as we go into the summer season. And so, as I've said, a bigger volume in the downtown area means more eyes and ears and an opportunity to collaborate, work together, promote safety in the downtown region. We've learned of events such as indecent acts, uttering threats, assault, property damage that happen across our region, but certainly in this downtown area. And we believe that they are observed by members of the community 24 hours a day. So if you see it, we want it reported. We want it reported directly to 911 as the crime occurs.
With the increase of the traffic of the pedestrian mall and the upcoming Canada Games, we are expecting a larger volume of people in downtown St. John's. And like many other districts across our province and across the country, we have seen an uptick in a lot of social problems. So, drug use, like you said, indecent acts, and other things, such as graffiti, which is a really big one that we find in downtown St. John's right now. A lot of people probably don't think that's a big deal, but it certainly is, because the thing that graffiti does, it makes a place look dirty, uncared for, and that relates to unsafe. And we never want anybody to feel unsafe or that we don't care about our downtown. So what you have to do is record it. The second thing is report it. Take your bit of information, report it to the RNC. Maybe you think it's not going to go anywhere, but most oftentimes it does, and it helps the RNC build their case and their wealth of information. And the last thing is to remove it. So you have, X number of days to remove it under city bylaw, and beyond the fact that it's a law, you should remove it anyway, because again, it makes your place look better, it makes people want to come down, it makes them feel safe.
DSC, the Downtown Safety Coalition, was enacted as a working group for all of these folks and levels of government to come together to figure out how we're going to address safety in the downtown. What we decided that we would do, based on all of the feedback of the many stakeholding partners involved, was to put uniformed on-foot patrol on the downtown streets via ISS, Independent Security Services, who work in lockstep with our RNC to ensure that any matters of safety that they meet in their regular foot patrol in the core area of the downtown are immediately actioned. The downtown is receiving additional support to have the uniformed on-foot patrol happen, which is resulting in amazing improvements for the feeling, qualitative, quantitative of safety. We look forward to more phases and for the government to make this a year-round line item because of the proof of benefit that this initiative has resulted in for the people of our downtown. And we hope that by sending this message out to everyone today, it will make folks feel safer to come to our downtown during this incredible summer season and beyond, because of the hard work that so many of us have put in to creating a safer downtown for all of us.
Will we see an increase in the foot traffic of the RNC officers down here as well?
You will see an increased deployment at different points throughout the summer. Based on the information we have, if we expect a higher volume, you will see a higher volume of deployment. And that's around events such as George Street Festival, Regatta. These events that we have throughout the summer, including Canada Games, we have appropriate deployment. And it really goes to show the collaboration we have with organizations, stakeholders throughout the community. You talk about security, as well as business owners, municipal leaders. The collaborative effort here is significant, and the resource management of the RNC is based on the information we receive from those stakeholders, community members, and again, we talk about crimes in progress being reported directly to 911.
And there's another number you can call besides 911. If you see a new piece of graffiti, the RNC asks you report it to them on its graffiti tip line at 709-729-8800. Well, the downtown pedestrian mall opened in St. John's this week. The area is a popular spot for locals and tourists to wander around, browse the vendors, and grab a bite to eat. I asked Galen Gulliver from downtown St. John's what people can expect from this year's pedestrian mall.
Well, the pedestrian mall is the hottest act in town every single summer. So before 12 o'clock in the day, the street is still open, not to the general public, but it's open to the businesses for the things that they need to do. So 10 to 12, you're going to see deliveries and, different stock trucks coming in that different, businesses are going to need. So if you're coming down before 10 a.m. or before 12, between 10 and 12, please note that there will be some vehicle traffic delivery stuff on the road. So that's one important thing. I want people to be safe. Again, it's going to be a really fun summer filled with a lot of pop-ups. The City of St. John's has some great entertainment lined up. That's available on their socials. We hold our Busker Festival in it. Real Downtown is coming up pretty soon in July, every Monday in July. It's like the hottest venue in town. And not to mention, it's going to be the site of an actual Canada Games event.
What is the Canada Games event that'll be happening down here?
It's a cycling event. I know, like it's sort of the Canada Games thing to release and talk about, but yes, the cycling will actually occur through Water Street. So you'll be able to sit down on a patio or on a picnic table, and of course it'll be roped off because we have to have safety of the participants and the spectators, but yeah, right through downtown St. John's. So that's been a long time since we've had anything like that happen down here. Really exciting.
So expecting a major uptick in traffic down here because of the Canada Games, but also are you expecting to see more tourists this year? There's been this push for people to, travel within Canada for their vacation this year. Are you expecting to see more tourists on top of that?
We already are. This town has been filled with people since March. We had the burger battle and downtown was full, and it hasn't stopped being full. I expect we're going to get a lot of other Canadians and as well as Americans. And every year we have, I think this year was more cruise ships than before, so every year we have those cruise ship passengers coming in. I mean, we're still open here for business, for anybody from the rest of Canada, the United States want to come see what it's like to really live in a wonderful place and get along and be free, and this is welcoming for everyone.
Actually, it was quite the day weather-wise in St. John's. I was in the downtown area one second, and it was pouring rain, then it was sunny, and then it was pouring.
Yeah, we're certainly getting a little bit of what Ontario weather is like, where we see those thunderstorms through the day. That was certainly the case. We also saw some hail in some cases. Let's take a look at that hail this morning in Paradise. It's just small hail, but that is what happens when we see those thunderstorms through the day. And we're looking at the risk of some thunderstorms again as we head through the day tomorrow. Just the slight chance of some thunderstorms. So those have moved off now, and things are starting to clear out. And that will be the story as we head through tonight. Temperatures are going to drop. So Environment Canada has a frost advisory in place for all of eastern Newfoundland, the Canaga Peninsula, and then parts of central back through the Bay of Exploits. So expecting those temperatures to drop quite significantly, somewhere between 0 and about +5. Low-lying areas will be where we see the coolest temperatures, but those clear skies, light winds, as you can see here as well, are going to lead to that risk of frost. Really, right across the board, those temperatures are going to be on the cool side, but the best chance, like I said, of seeing that freeze risk will be in those low-lying areas and somewhere between midnight and about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So having said that, if you have any frost-sensitive plants like your annual, some herbs, veggies out there like tomatoes and peppers that are outside, they don't like temperatures below 5 degrees. So you're definitely going to want to cover those up tonight. The best thing to do is to water them this evening, cover them with a bed sheet or a garbage bag or something, because that will help keep the heat close to the soil, and it'll keep them and protect them from frost. So you're certainly going to want to do that. By the time you get into tomorrow morning, take that off, beautiful weekend as far as those temperatures go. They'll rebound quite nicely tomorrow morning and into the afternoon, and most of us will be seeing some sunshine through the day. We may see a little bit more cloud cover in Lab West for the morning. Then in the afternoon, you may see a few showers develop, and we'll likely see that for the southern areas of the island as well. Don't be surprised to see a few showers. They'll be very isolated in nature. By the time we get into tomorrow afternoon, some shower chances develop for the upper Lake Melville area towards southeastern portions of Labrador. And then as far as the island goes, pop-up showers possible tomorrow afternoon and evening through central and eastern areas of the island, maybe even the west coast as well. Now, the potential here is where we'll see that potential for some lightning at times. Just keep that in mind. What does develop will be fairly isolated in nature, but that chance is still possible through the day on Saturday. And really, that should end through the overnight into Sunday. Sunday looks beautiful, at least to start. Temperatures for tomorrow, they're going to be fairly nice. Upper teens, low 20s for most. Now, the winds in the morning will be out of the west, somewhere around 20 kilometers per hour, but they should ease as the afternoon goes through. It really is going to turn into a beautiful afternoon. Temperatures a little cooler, though, for those of you that are in onshore flow, particularly along the south coast. 16, 17, 18 degrees will be your daytime highs. And you may see a bit of onshore, some fog rather, and a little bit of drizzle. And then for Labrador, temperatures generally sitting in the upper teens towards the coast. Definitely been a roller coaster ride when it comes to those temperatures, but certainly warming up nicely. 23 degrees in Happy Valley Goose Bay, and temperatures very similar in Lab West, where you'll be sitting somewhere between 22 to 23 degrees as your daytime highs. Now, as we head into Sunday, that looks beautiful, but we certainly have some more rain on the way as we head into Monday. Some of us could see some heavy rain at times, but I'll break all of that down for you in the long-range forecast coming up a little later in the show.
Thanks, Ashley. Returning now to our top story, a major shakeup at St. Clare's Hospital in St. John's. 5 doctors submitted a notice of resignation to take effect October 1st. The internal medicine specialists say they won't perform any duties outside their contractual obligations, like no overtime or weekends, beginning on July 1st. Opposition health critic Barry Pettin is questioning why government didn't do something about the situation sooner.
Well, it's a dire situation actually, and it's this is not a new issue. I was aware of this issue about 18 months ago because some of them reached out to me back then, and I know that they had written the former minister, who was current MP now, Minister Osborne, and at the time it fell on deaf ears, and they were frustrated then. But there was no action. There was a little bit of movement and some conversations. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, there was some threats. They felt that they were being threatened by Department of Health and NLHS at the time about speaking publicly, getting it out in the public airways. So this situation never went away, and there was a couple of them stepped aside, or they stayed down, but they cut back on duties. The other 5 remained there. Then it brings up to here we are today, where 5 of them are putting in their letters of resignation for extra duties as of July 1st. So it's a case of that, the former Minister Osborne was aware, current Premier and former Minister of Health, Minister Hogan, or Premier Hogan, was aware. The current Minister of Health, Minister Howell, was aware, and yet no action. This is not a new thing. 18 months later, there's no action. And what happens today or this week? Mass resignation. Now are they going to get action? I'm hearing that the Premier's office made calls, the Minister of Health Department's made calls. Why didn't they make calls 18 months ago? Why are we here today faced with this situation with an already broken, our healthcare system is pretty well, if you want to use the word, but beyond crisis, has become broken. We're seeing reports this week with the travel nurse issue. It's not a good look. We're in free fall, and something needs to be done, but government needs to start listening and talking to these people. Why didn't they respond 18 months ago?
Well, Health Minister Crystalline Howell also spoke with reporters today about the mass resignation at St. Clare's Hospital. Howell says she met with NL Health Services and the Medical Association, and there is a plan in place to make sure service at the hospital continues without disruption.
Well, the first thing I'd like to do is to reassure the public that there will be no gap in service delivery at St. Clare's Hospital. We have been working on this issue for a number of months, and we're confident that there is a plan in place that will assure these services continue. And this is, as I said, not something that's been new to us, but it has been a very complicated process. And I do believe right now we're in a really good place, and I'm confident that the plan that's put forward will solve this issue.
With everything so far up in the air, though, how can you so confidently say that there won't be gaps in service?
Well, nobody has abandoned their post, let's be clear. You know, this is not a matter of no services available today. I can appreciate the frustration that comes in a long-term discussion on something as complex as this. So while I may disagree with the tactics that were deployed to get us to this point today, I know that it's been a long-standing discussion, but nobody has thrown down and went home. So we do believe that we're in a place right now where a resolution is imminent, and we're confident that the plan will resolve this issue.
Hey folks, it's Adam Walsh. I'm at the Marine Atlantic Ferry Terminal in Port aux Basques. Back in the spring, Prime Minister Mark Carney made this promise to reduce ferry rates by at least half. That hasn't happened yet. People are waiting around on it to see what will happen. So today we went and spoke with folks who are about to go board a ferry about their thoughts on it all. Check it out.
It'd be huge. I mean, for us, our kids are grown now, but I mean, we would come, myself, my wife, 3 boys, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and it was probably the better part of a month's pay, that you would have to make sure you had put aside. Just that was the ferry, and it's my Trans-Canada Highway. I live in Nova Scotia. I have since '79. I can get in my car and I can drive right to BC and not pay a dime if I want to bypass the tolls. There's only either I swim or I pay for an airline ticket, but I'm not getting into Newfoundland without paying for it. Yeah. And I don't know how that's right.
Maybe this is something that they're hopefully just going to get to in time. But hopefully people can hold them accountable and speak up and make sure that happens.
If they drop it, you'd probably get more and it help the Newfoundland out there with tourism. You have to think about whether you want to go over there with the cost everywhere else. It's either that or when you go south, you've got the same problem with the cost of money and everything else. So what do? We all want to go someplace, and to get to Newfoundland and just to see the beautiful province, it should be done.
Well, I don't really listen to everything they said, because they keep promising stuff and they never do anything, And it's hard on people. Since COVID, it's been a struggle for everybody. I was working out west, and then it changed, and it's hard for everybody. The economy honestly sucks. Sorry for the language, but the economy is not very good.
I don't know why it hasn't happened 50 years ago. I joined the military in 1979 from here, or from the East Coast, and I've said that ever since. Friends of mine in the military, like for example from Grand Manan Island, if you have your Grand Manan Island birth certificate, you pay half what anybody else does going to the island. Military takes me away from the island. I'll be coming home once or twice a year, paying a fortune, and I pay the exact same amount as some multimillionaire from Texas in a $100 million motorhome, right?
The Torbay Wharf is being rebuilt. The federal government is investing $4.1 million in the project. Construction has already started and is expected to be complete by next May.
You just look behind me and you can see in Newfoundland and Labrador, it's a rugged coastline. And we know that climate change is affecting sea state in terms of the type of sea surge, the rising water levels. So it's often difficult for small boats to get in and out. This is an important landing spot for harvesters in this area, but it's also important from search and rescue. It's an important landing site if something does happen, whether it's through hiking or just recreational boating or anything in the area. So it's important in multiple uses.
An artist in this province hopes his paintings of street dogs in Nicaragua can help local dogs at the SPCA. The CBC's Francesca Swan stopped by to see the watercolors.
Some of the ones that I really like is with 2 dogs together
right? Kind of sniffing each other's butts. And so that's, you know, if you buy that one, you get 2 for 1, right?
True. We're seeing some of the watercolors that you've painted of the street dogs in Grenada, Nicaragua. Describe what we're seeing in these miniatures.
Well, you're seeing 45 of the street dogs that I encountered on my walks around Grenada. And the street dogs were not treated very well, but in recent years things have really improved, and there's some volunteers who are helping to take care of them a bit with neutering programs, even giving them a bit of food and water. As an architect, usually I draw buildings, and sometimes you need a bit of a change, so I decided, well, it might be interesting to make some paintings of the street dogs. I think I'm getting better at it. Maybe I should just stick with street dogs instead of painting buildings, but you get to know the anatomy of a dog by drawing them over and over again. So I think I'm getting pretty good. I'm also getting good at drawing garbage bags, which are often in the background of these little paintings.
Robert, how is it that you and your wife Heidi have come to spend so much time in the city of Grenada, Nicaragua?
We visited long ago, probably around 2010, because our daughter Hannah was doing volunteer work there for several summers, working in schools. And we really enjoyed the town, and we decided that we'd try to buy a house there.
Well, explain to us now how these street dogs in Grenada are helping to raise funds for the SPCA here.
Well, the little watercolors, there are 45 watercolors of the street dogs, and they are at Emma Butler's gallery this summer, and any of the proceeds that I would usually get from selling a watercolor at the gallery will go to the SPCA for a little fundraiser.
What do you think you've learned from studying the street dogs and making these paintings?
I've learned that I'm probably less interesting than the dogs. I remember a few years ago when Memorial University gave me an honorary doctorate, I had to think about what I was going to say. And I seem to remember 3 words that I told the graduates: get a dog.
And a very special thank you to Francesca Swan for that piece. It's actually her last story here at CBC. She retires today after a 38-year career. So congratulations, Francesca. Wishing you all the best in your next chapter. Well, it's Friday, so let's find out who's celebrating. Happy 58th anniversary to high school sweethearts Gerald and Jane Walsh of Wabush. Congratulations to Hank and Trudy Vincent of Roberts Arm. Their 50th anniversary is tomorrow. Wishing Lloyd and Annette Miller of Trouty a happy 58th anniversary. Happy 58th anniversary also to George and Maxine Lewis of Labrador City. Happy 64th anniversary to Percy and Selena Stacy of St. Lawrence. Wishing Mildred and Leonel Varinos a happy 50th anniversary. They're from Labrador City and now live in St. John's. Happy 50th anniversary to Brad and Verley Marsh of Grand Falls, Windsor. David and Shirley Elliott of Twillingate are celebrating their 56th wedding anniversary today. Happy 65th anniversary to Alec and Ella Noseworthy from Fortune. Wishing Ross and Geneva Ivany of Mount Pearl a happy 65th anniversary. Happy anniversary to Vida and Reverend Nelson Chapman. They're celebrating their 54th anniversary this week. Happy anniversary to Sunny and Norma Savory of Port Basque. They're marking 63 years of marriage. Happy 56th anniversary to Chesley and Mary Barrett of St. John's. They celebrate tomorrow. Anniversary greetings going out to Mark and Bridget Bennett of St. George's. They've been married for 50 years. 55th anniversary greetings today going out to Mary and Alex Park of Cox's Cove. Happy 61st anniversary to Edward and Kay Daw of Upper Gullies. Congratulations to Frank and Mita Brown of Lethbridge on their 61st anniversary. Wishing Calvin and Virginia Payne of St. John's a happy 65th anniversary today. It's a 57th anniversary for Joyce and Charlie Smith of Dildo, wishing you many more years to come. Larry and Donna Penny of Cannings Cove celebrated their 55th anniversary yesterday. 50th anniversary greetings going out to Dan and Leona Lake. They mark their golden anniversary tomorrow, and I have to say, Dan and I go way back. He's one of my favorite former colleagues at NTV. Happy 64th anniversary to Earl and Donna Noseworthy of Musgrave Harbor. Bill and Marion Murphy of Marystown are celebrating 50 years together tomorrow. Happy 63rd anniversary to Rose and Charlie Gillum from Mount Pearl. And this isn't our usual kind of wedding anniversary, but Father Bill Brown in St. John's is marking the 67th anniversary of being ordained in the church. It's a different kind of marriage. Best wishes coming from his family and your parishioners. Now to some birthdays. Happy 91st birthday to Ethel Guy, who's from Arnold's Cove and now lives in St. John's. Happy 99th birthday to Gladys White, residing in Corner Brook. Love from all your family. Mita Watkins turned 98 this week. She's from Cottlesville and now lives in Lewisport. Happy 101st birthday to Marjorie Cole Perry of Point of Bay, now living in Grand Falls, Windsor. Maud Starks of Mount Pearl is now in Kelligrews, is celebrating her 96th birthday. Wishing Roy Maybe of St. John's a happy 94th birthday. Shirley Goff Sharp is celebrating her 95th birthday. She grew up in Elliston and Carbonear and now lives in St. John's. Happy birthday to Audrey Hewlett, who celebrates her 92nd birthday on Wednesday. And happy 92nd birthday to Ruby Bragg of Pilley's Island from all your family and friends. Another fine crowd. Congratulations once again. And here we are. The weekend is here, and a long weekend for some people who decide to take Monday off because, of course, Tuesday is Memorial Day / Canada Day.
Yeah.
So how is the weather looking next week?
Until we get there, yeah. So not bad, but by the time we get to the beginning of next week, then we're going to get into some unsettled weather and some rain, much needed rain though.
Oh, good.
No one is going to complain about that. Let's take a look at what's going on. Unfortunately, if it falls on your day off, then you won't be so happy. But yeah, so as we look ahead to Sunday, the weather really does look beautiful. Clouds will just be on the increase through the day. But we won't really see any shower activity until later on in the day for Lab West. And then even more so across the island. That's eventually when we'll see those clouds move in, and some showers will move in for southwestern portions of the island. And also some cooler air for you. Otherwise, daytime highs will be in the low to mid 20s. So lovely. Now across Labrador, you're also looking at some lovely temperatures, 25 degrees in Happy Valley, Goose Bay towards the coast, upper teens, low 20s will be the daytime highs. But then again, for Lab City, you're looking at your temperature around 20 degrees with that chance of some showers. This is out ahead of our system that is going to continue to bring that cloud cover in through the overnight and that chance of showers as well, pretty much across the board by the time we get into Monday morning. This will continue into the afternoon as well, with most of us seeing showers continuing into the overnight again for those of you in Lab West. Now, daytime highs are going to dip a little bit. Looking at those highs in the upper teens, low 20s for most of the island, and then for Labrador as well, towards the coast between 11 and 17 degrees. Along the strait, cooler, only about 12. And then for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, you'll be hovering around 20 degrees. So essentially, expect that unsettled weather to continue at least through the overnight and into Tuesday, the first part of Tuesday in some cases as well. But it does look like temperatures will be only sitting in the teens through Tuesday. I know yesterday it looked like it was going to be nice and warm. Just a little bit of wind shift and things change. So this could change again as well, but Overall, the good news is that it looks dry, 18 degrees. By the time we get into Wednesday, though, you're looking at more unsettled conditions and a temperature around 20 degrees. So right around where we should be sitting this time of year. For central and western Newfoundland, essentially Tuesday bookended by showers. But again, your daytime highs will be in the 20s. It's also going to feel a little bit humid through the day as well. And then for eastern Labrador, you're looking at your temperatures in the 20s, pretty much looking at that chance of showers Monday and Wednesday. And Tuesday for western Labrador does look unsettled. You are looking at periods of rain and a temperature around 22 degrees. Our weather photo of the day taken in Gambo. Last night's sunset was absolutely spectacular. And take a look at this photo that Darlene got.
Wow.
Isn't that beautiful?
It's gorgeous.
I couldn't even believe it. When I looked out at the sunset last night, I was like, that doesn't, oops. Got too excited.
Oh, we
and
got
I
a
clicked
good look
on
at it.
That's right. Oh, well.
And, you know, I just want to reiterate something that you mentioned earlier in the show, because it's pretty important for gardeners about the risk of frost tonight.
Yes.
My goodness, it feels so late in the season to be having a risk of frost, but if you do have any of those precious plants,
cover them up. It's worth it.
Yeah, they're expensive.
They're very expensive.
Flowers are expensive, so yeah, cover them up for sure tonight. And I guess that's for much of the island.
Yeah,
Avalon.
basically the eastern half of the island. Yeah.
Okay, so good note. Yeah. All right. Well, hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for watching.
Good night.